brahmachari. Yamuna tira vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. We're reading from Bhagavad Gita today, and there's no Bhagavad Gitas in the temple room, so that's interesting. So I'm going to find it on my phone. So we're reading from, if any of you have your phones, you can look on a website called Vedabase, and you can find the Bhagavad Gita on there. We're reading from chapter 18 and text 33. So maybe, if you don't mind, thank you so much. Yeah, because it just means then I can, thank you. I would have brought my own, but I didn't realize there weren't any in the temple room. So maybe if I just recite the Sanskrit on my own, because if nobody else has it, then... Okay. So text 33. Drityaya taraya te mana pranendriya kriya yoganavya picharinya triti sapata satviki Drityaya daraya te mana pranendriya kriya yoganavya picharinya triti sapata satviki. Okay, then you can repeat after me. I'll go through the word for word. So dritya, determination. Yaya, by which. Daryate, one sustains. Manaha, of the mind. Prana, life. Indriya, and senses. Kriyaha, the activities. Yogena, by yoga practice. Avyabhicharinya, without any break. Dritihi, determination. Sa, that. Partha, O son of Pritha. Sattviki, in the mode of goodness. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation, O son of Pritha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. Purport. Yoga is a means to understand the Supreme Soul. One who is steadily fixed in the Supreme Soul with determination, concentrating one's mind, life, and sensory activities on the Supreme, engages in Krishna consciousness. That sort of determination is in the mode of goodness. The word avyabhicharanya is very significant, for it indicates that persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are never deviated by any other activity. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shivada Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhattade Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Ne Vishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Desatarane. Okay, so Hare Krishna everybody. Let me just find my notes. So we're reading from chapter 18, which is called The Perfection of Renunciation. So I just thought I'd recap the chapter so far, because I've not been here listening to the classes, and I don't know how many of you have been. So it's called The Perfection of Renunciation, this chapter, and it starts off by Krishna explaining what renunciation is, and he says that giving up activities that are based on material desires, and also giving up the results of those activities as well. So that's what renunciation is. And then he starts talking about the importance of sacrifice, of charity and penance, and then he talks about renunciation in the three modes. And then he says that it's impossible to give up all our activities, but we must give up the fruits. So we're always doing something, we're always acting. So it's impossible to give that up, but we can give up the results of our activities. Apologies, I've still got, I was ill a few weeks ago and I've still got a little bit of a cough, but I'll try my best. And then he says that if we're truly renounced, then that means we don't have any results, we don't have anything to suffer or to enjoy. Actually, if we're really giving everything up, then we're free of karma, in fact. So we don't have to suffer or enjoy any results of our activities. That's true renunciation. And then he talks about the 5 factors of action, and then he starts to talk about different activities in the 3 modes. So he talks about what knowledge is in the 3 modes, so there's kind of a verse for each mode, and how each of those things manifest in the 3 modes. So he talks about knowledge, and then action and understanding, and then now Krishna's talking about determination, how determination manifests itself in the 3 modes. And so this verse that we're talking about today is about the mode of goodness. And then text 34 and 35, which are the next 2 texts, they talk about how determination shows itself in the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. So today we're talking about the mode of goodness, and how is determination in the mode of goodness. So firstly, Krishna describes it as unbreakable. So it's unbreakable in the sense that Prabhupada explains in the purport that it's uninterrupted. Determination in the mode of goodness is uninterrupted. So someone who's determined is acting determinedly all the time. And it's maintained by yoga practice, he says, and it helps us to control the mind and the senses. So that's what Krishna says, actually, in the translation. And then Prabhupada in the purport is quite interesting, actually. He's talking more about how is determination in Krishna consciousness. And I was thinking, how is that working? Krishna's talking about the mode of goodness, and then Prabhupada's just kind of like jumping. He's talking about it in Krishna consciousness. Like, how does that connect? So we can understand that in the way that the higher modes can help elevate us from the lower modes. So for example, if someone's in the mode of ignorance, they can actually use the mode of passion to help elevate them from the mode of ignorance, which, okay, the mode of passion isn't always ideal, but it's better than the mode of ignorance. I can think of some examples, like if someone's, I just always remember an example, my Bhakti Shastri teacher telling me that if we're chanting in the mode of ignorance, it means we're falling asleep maybe when we're chanting. And to help get us out of that, you can use the mode of passion. You get up, you start walking. Okay, like it's kind of hard for your concentration, but at least you're not falling asleep. And yeah, there's many other examples. Like emotions, if we're in the mode of ignorance, maybe we're suppressing our emotions. In the mode of passion, we're kind of showing them really full on, which also isn't ideal, but it's actually better than just suppressing them. So in that way, the mode of passion can elevate us from the mode of ignorance, and then the mode of goodness can elevate us from the mode of passion, and then eventually the mode of transcendental goodness, Shuddha-sattva, this can elevate us from the mode of goodness. And so in this verse, obviously, Krishna is talking about how is determination in the mode of goodness. And it's actually very, the things which are described, these qualities that are described, unbreakable, steadfastness, controlling the activities of the mind, this is very, very high. Like devotees that have been practicing for many years maybe can't even do these things. And so I thought, well, if this is the mode of goodness, then this is actually a very high level, and someone that's able to do this is probably very Krishna conscious, actually. So that's how I kind of answered that question for myself when I was studying this verse. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go through the verse and the different elements of the verse. And if anyone has any questions or comments at any point, then feel free to just raise your hand, because it's nice for it to be a bit interactive. Is anyone here for the first time, actually? Yeah? Your first time to the temple, or just first time to Bhagavad Gita class? Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming. Have you read Bhagavad Gita at all? A little bit, so you know a little bit. Okay, that's good to know. But if you want to ask anything at any point, then that's fine as well. Or if I'm not explaining something very well, then yeah, please say. Okay, so I'm going to start by unpacking this word unbreakable. So Krishna says that determination that is unbreakable. This is what we need to cultivate, actually, determination in our spiritual life. It should be unbreakable. So the following few verses, as I mentioned before, they talk about determination in a lower mode, so the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. Does everyone understand what I mean when I say mode of passion and mode of ignorance, or shall I explain? I can explain a little bit. So the mode of goodness is when someone's kind of in a very peaceful, tranquil state, and they're maybe doing lots of charity, they're kind of, someone that you would just think as a good person. The mode of passion is more this kind of, maybe kind of selfishness, a lot of frustration, anger, passionate. It's kind of got it in the name itself. And the mode of ignorance is more there's a lot of illusion, someone just really not seeing things as they are. And that's basically what it is. Okay, so yeah, the following few verses, they speak about the types of determination we need to avoid. I won't go into it in much detail because obviously the next speakers for the next few days are going to talk about that. But Krishna says that determination that aims at fruitive results, so that's like, trying to acquire lots of material things, or selfishly trying to, do something like that, or something which is based on negative emotions like fear, sadness, madness, fantasy, etc., All of these kinds of determinations are what we want to avoid. But this verse 33 that we're reading today, this instructs us how we should be determined if we want to have a successful spiritual life. So our determination should be completely solid, and it should be unbreakable. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport, so Srila Prabhupada, for anyone that doesn't know, this is Srila Prabhupada here. He's our founder Acharya of ISKCON, and he wrote all of these books for us, and he gave us these purports to the translations that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita and our other sacred texts. So he explains it very, he outlines it very simply for us to understand. And so his purport, his explanation for this verse, he picks out this word, avyabhicharanya. So this is the word which translates as unbreakable. And he says that this is a very important word in the verse because he says it indicates that persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are never deviated by any other activity. So what does that mean? So it means that if somebody has unbreakable determination, it means that they're not doing anything else. They're completely just absorbed in their spiritual life, those activities which help them to progress in their spiritual life. Even if maybe, they may seem to have many other things, they may be living a household life, but actually everything is ultimately for them is directed towards the service of the Lord and towards progressing themselves spiritually. And so they're not actually doing anything else, Prabhupada explains. So renunciation doesn't have to mean giving up all activities completely. It just means channeling all activities into the right direction. And that's obviously a spiritual one, so we always have a choice in how we direct our activities. We can aim for a material goal, so many material goals, but all of those are temporary actually. If I want to earn lots of money, or I want lots of fame, or whatever, beauty, I don't know, all of those things are temporary, and they're not gonna last, basically. But if we aim for a spiritual goal, then there's, Krishna says in chapter 2, Pratyavaya Navidyate, that there's never any loss or any diminution in this path. So bhakti, whatever you put in is like a bank account. You never lose that. And so yeah, if we're determined in that, then that's never lost. And even from previous lives, we can pick up where we left off. If we did some bhakti in a previous life, we never lose that actually. That stays with us. And going back to this word, avyabhicharanya, I was thinking about the example of Srila Prabhupada himself. So anyone that doesn't know, that he came to the West in 1965, and he brought this Krishna consciousness to the Western world, so that people that were, not raised in India or in that kind of family, like I wasn't. I was just raised in the UK, and would never have been exposed to that if it wasn't for Srila Prabhupada bringing books. But so he brought that to the West, but it was on the instruction of his guru, actually, who's just these 4 pictures you see. So there's Srila Prabhupada. The next one is, his name is Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. So he instructed Srila Prabhupada to come to the West and to preach to the Westerners about Krishna consciousness, and to write books and to distribute those books. And he gave him that instruction, I think it was about 30 years or even more than 30 years before he actually did that. But just thinking about that made me think, how determined was he that he wasn't able to fulfill that instruction straight away, because he had a family, He had young children. He couldn't just, go disappear off. He had his, and preach like that. Yeah, he had his commitments, exactly, thank you. And it would have been irresponsible for him to have done that at that point in his life. But because he had this determination, which Krishna's describing here in the verse, he held on to that desire and that, for that long. It's said that the instruction of the guru you should take as your life and soul, and that was really what he did. He really took it as life and soul, and perfect job. I mean, so many temples, so many devotees, and so many lives changed because of what he did. And so this is a really perfect example of determination, something that we can try and aspire towards somehow. And so everything that he was doing, even during his family life, he always had that in his mind, that one day I will go and I will preach Krishna consciousness in the foreign countries. And this, this unbrokenness, it reminded me of another verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's from the first canto. And it goes like this: Savai pumsam parodamo yato bhaktira dokshije haitukiya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. And it's got this word, apratihata, which also means unbroken. And the verse basically means that our dharma, so our duty and our duty for this life is to perform devotional service. And this is actually what satisfies the soul. Yayatma suprasidati. This is what will really be beneficial for us and will really satisfy us. And for it to be beneficial and to satisfy us, it has to be unbroken or uninterrupted and causeless as well. So it just reminded me of that because of that word unbroken. So when somebody is completely engaged in devotional service or in their spiritual life, whatever they're doing, they're just always engaged. They don't have time to think about how could things be better, or I want this or that, I want this material thing, or I don't know, to just be distracted like that. They don't have time because it's unbroken. And so in that way, it completely fulfills them. Okay, and then... Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good question. Okay, so Prabhu is saying that, when I'm chanting, if I'm chanting the Maha Mantra, I'm shouting, I'm really trying to concentrate, but still my mind, it's just going, from this side of the universe to that side of the universe in like half a second. Yeah, you're still chanting the Maha Mantra. If we're chanting the Maha Mantra, in whatever circumstance, even if somebody... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It goes away again. This is the nature of the mind. Yeah, it's like trying to train a wild horse. Devotees often use that analogy. Okay. Jai Shishi Radha Gokulananda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shishi Gaura Nitai ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai. So I can't say that I've completely trained my mind either. I still actually so many devotees still struggle with the mind, but all I can say is practice makes perfect. The more that we do it, the better that it's going to get. We just have to be determined, like this verse is saying, and just, Coco. Okay. I think I kind of, we just need to just keep going. And actually what I was about to go on to say is by yoga practice, so by sadhana, this is how we get more determined. So the more that you just keep, even though you're thinking, oh my God, my mind is just going here, but if you just keep going, then Krishna sees your effort and he'll reciprocate with that, you know? Even though you're thinking, you know, your enthusiasm isn't very good maybe, or, you know, you're just struggling in whatever way. That's actually really when you get the most mercy, is when you're struggling, but you keep going, because it's like, you know, if everything's fine, and it's like, then you don't get so much realization. But when you're struggling, that's when, yeah, Krishna says, oh wow, this person is really trying. They're doing it even though they're not feeling it.
Even like giving bhoga or giving a glass of water or anything you eat to surrender to God first.
Mm.
But my mind is still all over the place.
Yeah.
I can do my duties,
Mm-hmm.
but mind is not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So we. Mm-hmm. We can pray to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
We can pray to senior. Yeah. And ask for mercy. Because obviously that's why we go through the Guru. Actually, whenever we do service, we go through Srila Prabhupada or the Guru, because they're pure. They're more pure. So if we ask for their mercy before we do anything, then our offenses, or, you know, this problem with the mind, this is nullified actually. Yeah. Coco, you had something. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Yeah. Mm. 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 Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm just going to repeat some of what you said, just in case people online didn't hear. So you were talking, I mean, I'll probably miss out bits, but I really liked actually what you said about to help our concentration, it should come from the heart as well. Because when, you know, when we feel very strongly about something, we don't have to think about, am I concentrating? But, you know, your heart is in it. So a friend that used to give class here, she used to explain it like that as well, that if somebody's in love, they don't need to think about, like, am I, you know, if they're having a conversation with someone that they're in love with, they're not gonna, their mind's not gonna wander, they're just gonna be completely focused on that person. So if we're in love with the Lord, if we really like have some feeling for him, then we're gonna be completely concentrating. And then I've forgotten actually what else you said. I was just so. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, if you have determination as well, then you're not going to be distracted. Yeah, if you're really focused. Yeah. And you set yourself goals, maybe, I don't know, might help. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's always going to be obstacles in life, in spiritual life, in material life as well. And determination is actually often what gets us through. And faith as well, actually, having strong faith. And that can go well with determination, having that real kind of assurance that if I have Krishna, I have everything. So even if I'm going through, even if I lose everything, I've still got him. And actually you've got everything. You've got the greatest wealth. The poorest, materially poorest person can be the wealthiest spiritually.
You're in a bed. All the asset you have means nothing to you.
Yeah,
All the
exactly.
houses,
Yeah.
wife, your children, it's nothing. The only thing is the Mahamantra. That's what you think about when you're in the
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah.
And that's the reality.
Yeah. If only everyone in hospital was thinking about the Mahamantra, that would be great. But, but yeah,
Because all the asset you have, it means zero.
yeah,
It means completely zero.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah, we can accumulate so many things in life. It can take us so many years to, I don't know, grow a business, get a good career, get a good wife, husband, have a family, get a nice house, nice car. But then when you die, that's all gone. Literally in a moment, it's just gone. You lose all of it. But the thing that we do take with us is our subtle impressions and our whatever we've done, our bhakti, exactly. Yeah, yeah, this stays with us and this determines some.
Our selfless deeds.
Yeah.
Give a hand to people who really needs you. Give them a hand. Even by filling up the form. It's a help. It's a selfless deed. That person is not going to reward you back. Doesn't matter. Someone else will reward you. When you're cornered, someone else who's superior than you, he will come and reward you or he will help you. Give you a helping hand. Like doctors. When you're in the hospital.
Yeah, yeah,
So Krishna works through people.
yeah, exactly.
When you're
Yeah,
cornered, he will send help. He will
absolutely.
not come.
But yeah, his representatives. This is true. Yeah, this is a very nice point you make. So when we give ourselves to Krishna, if we give something up, then he does reciprocate, and he really does reward those things when we really give our hearts. Absolutely. Okay. So I'm just trying to think. So we were talking about how determination in spiritual life, it should be unbreakable. And then we spoke a little bit about how it's maintained by yoga practice. So by our sadhana, by our spiritual practice, this actually can help us to become determined. And usually we would think it's the other way round, actually, wouldn't we? That, okay, if someone's determined, then they're going to be really consistent with their spiritual practice. But it's saying that actually it can be Krishna's implying here that determination is sustained by yoga practice. So actually, if we're thinking, I don't really feel like coming to the temple today, or I don't feel like doing this or that, but we do it anyway, this helps us to become more determined in spiritual life. Yeah. Doing something under any circumstance. This is like what a pure devotee means. So maybe I'll go back to the example of Srila Prabhupada. Those of you that have just walked in, don't know how many of you have. So actually, maybe I'll ask the question, is this anyone's first time to Bhagavad Gita class here at the manor? Or you've all been? Okay. Your first time to Bhagavad Gita class? Okay, that's fine. Have you been to the temple before No, okay, your first time. Oh, welcome. Thank you for coming. So we have Bhagavad Gita class here every day from 6 until 7. You're free to just come. It's completely free. And then, yeah, obviously we have Arti at 7 o'clock as well. Yeah, we just do like one verse every day. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh my God, I was talking about Srila Prabhupada. But yeah, this determination under any circumstances. So he came to America in 1965 from India. He'd never been outside of India before. And he came on the instruction of his guru to preach to the Western world. And it took him a whole year. He was basically homeless for one whole year in New York. In the dead of winter as well, he went through all of that. He was just trying to connect with different people, scholars, I don't know, whoever would kind of listen to him. And it wasn't really going anywhere for a whole year. And many, many times he went to the, I don't know what you call it, but where they would put the times for when the ships were going back to India, and he would see if there's a ticket, can I go back? Or, quite a few times he was considering it, but he just had this, this instruction from his guru and his determination that I must preach, I must give this spiritual knowledge to people, that he just kept going. So he had this determination under any circumstance. And then even when he did find people that would listen to him, they were like hippies. They were kind of all down and outs, like drug addicts, a lot of them. And it was very difficult for quite some time. But still, he saw that they had some, they had potential, and that they were actually interested, and they had some enthusiasm, and and they, exactly, yeah. Yeah, yeah, but he's done. I mean, the only reason we're all here is because he donated this place. It's really, amazing. He'll be rewarded very. That's what Prabhupada said. Krishna. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said that Krishna would reward him. Unless you give it to Krishna, like he did. He donated this huge place. Yeah. So, So that determination under any circumstance, Prabhupada, that's what I was saying. He was, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Surrender. He wants our devotion. He wants our love, actually. Nothing material. He only needs our love.
If you give one tulsi, he will accept it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what he says, in chapter 9. Thank you, Nichivasa. Yeah, that's much better. He says in Bhagavad Gita, if you offer me a flower, fruit, water, leaf, then I will accept it. And whenever we're offering something, it's always our love. So we can try and impress God with whatever material talents we have or abilities, and it's not that we shouldn't use those. It's absolutely we should. If we have some ability, we can use it in the service, but we shouldn't be proud of that. He's not looking for that in itself. He's looking for the devotion that comes with it. Why am I doing it? What's my intention? I was going to talk about. Actually, we don't have so. Does anyone have any questions or comments about anything we've said so far? It's okay if you don't. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the verse. So we're talking about determination. And we spoke about how it's unbreakable, and it's in the mode of goodness, or when someone's completely absorbed in the spiritual practice, as it's outlined in the purport. It should be unbreakable, and it helps with a solid and consistent yoga practice. So with our spiritual practice, if it's very consistent, that actually helps us to become determined, and vice versa. And also, Krishna says in the translation that if we're very determined, it helps us to control the activities of the mind, life, and senses. And he links that to the yoga practice. So, steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses. So, if someone has if they're very spiritually strong, then naturally all of their senses and their mind will be controlled. So some people try and control these things by force or artificially, but naturally if somebody is spiritually strong, then they just naturally control that. But it's very, very difficult to do. And we learn in another text called the Nectar of Instruction that if somebody has controlled the mind, the tongue, the actions of anger, and the tongue, the belly, and the genitals, if they've controlled all of those senses, then they're actually qualified to make disciples all over the world. Because these things are so hard to control. They're like Prabhu, you were saying earlier, I'm trying to chant, but my mind is going everywhere. And like everyone feels like that actually, or most people feel like that when they're trying to concentrate on something. So, but somebody that has been able to do that, they're actually qualified to accept disciples from all over the world. And so how do we actually become more determined? How do we become more controlled like that? The best thing is actually as well associating with those that already have a taste, those that are already very strong, because then their qualities will rub off on us. There's another verse from Canto 3 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it says that in the association of pure devotees that you get a taste for hearing spiritual topics and topics about the Supreme Lord. It becomes very satisfying to the ear and heart, it says. And then when we cultivate more and more knowledge, we become more advanced and more elevated. And then it says our attraction becomes fixed. And that was the bit that reminded me of our verse today, fixed, this word, because it's very similar to determination. So when we're associating with people who are very pure, who are very highly elevated, then obviously they're completely fixed and they have a natural attraction for spiritual life. And this will rub off on us. So it's often said we are the 5 people that we spend the most time with. We become so much like whoever we spend time with. So if you want to become more spiritual, then hang out with people who are spiritual, and ideally people that already have some taste and they're maybe more advanced than us, or you do feel more happy, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a really good point. If you're around people that are really negative, or they're completely engrossed in their material assets or their material goals or something, then you're going to be influenced by that. But if you're with spiritual people, then you will be happy because they're happier. They're connected with Krishna, and that's going to make them happy, isn't it? Yeah, the happiest people are the ones that have Krishna in their lives. Yeah. 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 And it says actually in this verse that I was talking about from Canto 3 that when the attraction becomes fixed, this is when real devotion and devotional service begin. So once you get attraction, then that's when you actually start to feel something real devotion, something deeper. And again, that comes from practice and from association, from good association. That's really key. Yeah.
You don't have to do 2-3 hours or 4 hours of bhakti or chanting. You don't have to do 16 malas.
To an extent, definitely quality is better than quantity. But also, we have to have some quantity as well, because that will, yeah, it does take a long, especially in the beginning. Once you you can build it up, it's not like you just suddenly go to 16. You can start with 1, and then, maybe a few weeks later do 2, and however because in the beginning as well, it's difficult to chant quickly. You can take, I don't know how long I was taking in the beginning, maybe 15 minutes for 1 round. So like to chant 16 was a bit too much. But then just naturally it became quicker. Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions or comments? We've got 5 minutes left, so otherwise we can maybe... I wanted to say one thing actually. So we had some initiations today. So there was a guru from ISKCON called Radhanath Swami. He was here, and he was initiating people into our sampradaya. And it was really nice how all of the candidates, as they came up, they all vowed, along with their vows of chanting a certain number of rounds on the malas and keeping the regulative principles. They also vowed that they would always keep this mood of servant of the servant, and they would remain loyal to the movement. And I really liked that, and I wanted to kind of try and link it to my verse. Because actually that remaining loyal and staying within spiritual life, you have to be determined. You have to feel like whatever happens, I'm going to carry on my spiritual path, actually. And that's very important, actually. So many things can happen in spiritual life. Some people think, well, I certainly thought, well, now I'm spiritual, nothing bad can happen, I'm kind of invincible. But it's just like, it's not true. We're still, what's the word? We still have karma. It becomes less when we become a devotee, actually, but still it is there. And so we have those reactions to burn off. And so we need to be a little bit determined. We need to have faith that even though bad things happen, actually I'm on the right path. If I go outside, what is there? There's nothing. It's literally just misery. At least if I carry on with spiritual life, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that requires some determination. And I think, maybe we can stop there. So thank you for coming, and please come again to Bhagavad Gita class every day at 6 o'clock. You're all very welcome. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhaktivedanta ki jai. So we've got a few minutes now before the curtains open. So, yeah.
Arati Keshovam
Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Arati
Shiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Arati Keshovam
Shiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Arati
Visatavani Vajkarata Shanka Bhagavanta Bhaje Bhajakarata Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Shanka Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Shanka Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Babaho Kati Chandra Jini Vadana Ujjvala Jala Deshe Bana Mala Kore Jala Mala Jala Deshe Bana Mala Kore Jala Mala Shiva Shukana Yada Preme Gada Gada Rara Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatana Satarine Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Nityananda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Prabhupada Statra Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtatra Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Srila Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Srila Satchitananda Bhaktivinoda Thakura Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Vaishnava Sarvama Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Shri Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopakapinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Nitai Nitai Gaur Premanande Bhaktivedanta Manor Dham Ki All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Ladadaine. Ladadaine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatangkanakalaye. Ito Narsingha Parito Narsingha. Yato yato yami tato Narsingha. Bahe Narsingha Hridaye Narsingha. Narsingha Madhim Sharanam Prapade. तव कर कमल वरी नाखा अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनु भृंगा केशवधृता नर हरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल वरे नाखा अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनु भृंगा जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल नरसिंहदेव भगवान की श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की गौर प्रेमानंदे।